Hello, Hank Hawkeye fans. I finally have an idea for a playthrough of this game I've had for 5 years. Star Traders Frontiers had it in February 2020. Uh, that I've never seen done before, and that is this. There are in this game, well, you'll see it here. There's military ranks, trade permits, and edicts. We have no rank, no permit, no edict with anybody. My goal is going to be to get to level 3 edict with all 9 factions, 6 houses, 3 syndicates, and the Templar Order. The Huna Collective doesn't give out any of those, and when and if a union ever gets to form of all the coalitions, they don't give out those rewards. Now, why do I want that? Because once you get to a level 3 edict with a particular faction, not their military ships, not their bounty hunters, not their zealots. 3 possible subgroups, in fact, 3 types of ships, but the 3 types of ships that represent law and order, they will not inspect your cargo, and you will get very only slightly reduced morale for surrendering to them. So yes, my goal is to be a zany in-law. Now, I had to make this reasonably challenging. So one thing I did was I started in the smallest ship you can start with in the game, the Scout Cutter, smallest ship, smallest crew. For my ship crew, that is. For my ground crew, I got a starport mechanic and a politician. The only 2 starting contacts that don't offer you any paperwork. Maybe they offer you introduction to offer you paperwork, but they don't offer any. So I decided to go with that. What's the other reason? If all we're looking for is edicts, well, eventually we'll need a military rank 1 to buy a new ship and sell our old ship. But basically, we don't need the most paperwork in the world. This is a paperwork minimalist run. And first off, if you're an adult in a country with lots of bureaucracies and good government, you're going to find you want to reduce paperwork. Second off, if you're a disabled adult, you also want to reduce paperwork in your life. You may have no problems reading Braille if you're blind. You may have trouble typing it out. You may have no problems with downloading and filling out forms online forms if you got a hearing disability, except if you have to watch a video about how to fill out the form, well, you can't hear. So that could create problems. So particularly if you have any sort of disability, you want to minimize paperwork in your life. And we may or may not accomplish that. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, and in order to accomplish this, what else are you going to do before you have these permits so you don't have to be inspected and have your goods seized, and all you have to do to keep your goods from being seized is outrun pirates, which are privateers who operate for the law of a faction but without any edicts and, in the loosest sense of the word, we'll say barely legal. The Tracy brothers, the developers of the game, have described them as privateers. So what are you going to do in the meantime? Carry goods that can't be seized, data. That's why we're a spy and why my officers will be spies. So, here's my captain, Beth Santini. My 2 officers, the captain's name is all caps, and the dashes are for the roles I want them to do. In her case, commander and military officer, so I don't forget and mess up my playthrough. Alex, her first 2 letters are AL, they're caps, and the same with Jerry here. You know what? One moment, I gotta put myself on mute. Phone call. Thank you for your patience. That was my relative on the phone who really likes to be short on the phone. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyway, uh, so we have this here. You know what? Yeah, we're going to stick with Jerry. Anyway, so that's what we got. Jeal for Alex and Jerry. And Beth Santini, I just figured a distant daughter of Dominic Santini from that old 80s show Airwolf. And then, what do I need to name this? Now, you'd think I would go with Legal Eagle. Not that I'm not trying to steal anything from the Legal Eagle channel on YouTube, but I decided this is centuries in the future. Humanity settled over several planets in some galaxy here. Uh, among other things, they might not know what a beagle is. Maybe that species of dog didn't survive humans going from Earth to other planets or something. Who knows? Already, at least one dog has died in space back in the 50s or 60s, I think. 1950s, 1960s. So who knows? Maybe beagles just didn't survive. Nobody knows what a beagle is anymore. So, of course, we're Legal Beagle. Anyway, so yeah, that's my goal, is to get 10 edicts. My disadvantages, my contacts, my ground crew offers no paperwork. Other disadvantage, my arbiter, the arbiter, if we pick her up, starts on a planet of my faction that we're probably going to try to avoid if we want to wait. You get standard 39 weeks to pick her up and take her to whoever she wants to go to. I prefer to wait 37 weeks. Going to be a slight challenge. In a scout cutter, smallest ship in the game. So if we keep this for a while, we're going to have to put all kinds of escape gear in it because we're going to have to be able to outrun people. Because the trick is to survive this ship until you get a bigger ship. So, the other thing is we're probably going to have to do, well, once we get a better weapons locker, it's going to have to minimum be weapons locker 4. Because you'll have stealth armor with it and heavy guns. So you'll have all the variety of weapons and armor that a locker can give you. Maybe not the best. So these are our challenges. Oh, now why? If you're going to make Edicts such a thing, why did you not settle for Steel Song? Any of you experienced players, I know you're asking that question. And here's why. I wanted to have one advantage on this small map that I like, which is... let me give you the map seed. We're using dash for the minus sign in between. So it's ST-B02-24-2-53091310. Anyway, back to the map itself. On this map, most factions don't have more than 2 quadrants, but most of them they're not right next to each other, with the exception of Devaltos and Altamessa. Well, I decided to go for Altamessa because I took time to study the map, and I realized, although Thulin does 20% faster repairs, and Altamessa did 15% faster upgrades. The thing is, in order to upgrade a ship, you can't have lower than a starport 6. So that's the lowest their starports go to. The lowest the Thulin go down to is 5. So we'll say they kind of cancel out there 20%. They go down at least 10%, cancel that out at some ports. But if between using Altamessa, your starting faction, and using Thulin occasionally, you should have the best of both worlds. Here's the other thing. Since we are playing to get edicts from all 10 factions, we, with the exception of the Indies, faction number 11, who only have trade law and no edicts, no trade permits, no military rank. They live by the most basic laws. Anyway, so we are going to go ahead here and anyway, I don't know how we're going to play certain parts of the main story, even though I'm very familiar with it, because we are not going to go ahead. We're not going to get people real mad at us where it's going to be difficult for contacts to give us edicts, are we? And who knows when and how we'll get trade permits and how much we'll need those and versus how much money we'll make from spying. So A, I don't know if our ship will get annihilated. B, I don't really know if this thing will work. It's just a zany idea I decided to try. C, I think there's going to be all kinds of adventures in it just by the theft I did that had all those words that ended in ICE that's on my YouTube channel that's getting all kinds of views these days. So, I thought we'd find plenty of humor and give this a try. And what I'm going to do is, to get this started, I'm going to go to port to my two friends here, which I start in yellow. Two starting contacts. Any important contact that's not evergreen, like part of the story and therefore immortal and can't die, I will star in yellow. Anybody evergreen gets green. Estelle's part of the story. She can't die, so she's got that green star. Anyway, I figure I'm going to go to these two, pick up my first missions, and party hardy, as they say. Then when I get those missions, I'll see you all next when I've got my first edict. And on my way to getting to Edict 3, presumably with this faction. So that's the goal here. That's what we're up to. It's zany. It's crazy. But I think it's going to work. But it's never been tried before. In a way, this is my own unlock. And for those of you who are curious, let me show you something. If it's my own unlock, well, aren't you playing on moddable Star Traders Frontiers so you don't have any unlocks other than this zany challenge for you? Oh, no, baby. I've still got locks after all these years, things that just haven't seemed important to me to do. So, yeah. How many locks do I still have? Let me see how many unlocks there are. 3 per row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows, 34 unlocks, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14. I think I've only got 15 unlocks. I just got all the unlocks for all the features I wanted. I didn't need every unlock in the universe. So that's my groove here. Anyway, so that's what we're up to. Zany as it is. I've reset my software to possibly do 1-hour videos. Although I hope I don't end up doing too many of those. And you'll be seeing this. Anyway, off we go. First place I got to go. The mechanic here. Oh, here's the other advantage. A, if we're going to be doing this, trying to get legal, advantage or disadvantage. The only good thing about the politician is they offer diplomat recruits. And we're going to need that because before we get to, well, A, it might help us. If you defend factions less, you can get those edicts sooner. So we kind of need the politician. And, yeah, I'm going to have the ultimate discreet operation of being everybody's second best friend eventually. Because I'll be able to ship anything because I won't be inspected by anybody. You know, I'm doing away with, what's that thing Han Solo told Jabba in Star Wars? Everybody gets boarded once in a while. Well, apparently not me by law enforcement. And if I'm going to have so many badges saying I'm in league with them, maybe we're all going to be brothers and sisters in law enforcement. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Oh, now if you're going to say, but this is crazy. You're an American, i.e. from the United States of Awesome, and as many political jokes as you make, we can take it. By the way, it's true. And it starts with William Penn. We have a long, long tradition of politicians making interesting interpretations of law of all stripes, probably at all levels of government. So, you know, it might be zany. It might get zany enough here in the USA that you could say, we didn't mean for anybody to get hurt, but we only accidentally upheld, complied with, or enforced the law. Could be that way here in the USA, depending on how you want to look at it. And by the way, I'm not a political major. I'm just an American citizen who likes to make jokes about my country and politics, and preferably likes to blame Congress when I can. No particular person, the whole institution. No particular political party, no particular group of representatives from a sector, a part of the country, no Congress. And if it's state politics, the state legislature. That's my favorite target. Anyway, my favorite comedy contributors. Let's put it that way. Anyway, off I go here. And so I'm kind of, this game, Star Traders Frontiers, it's a whole legal system meant for humans and groups to work out their tensions, but without going to full scale, trying to take over planets' war. So there's three kinds of war under these laws they live under: solar wars, spy wars, and trade wars. Well, we're not going to be so much about the war thing, but we are going to be about being able to ship any goods anywhere, any place, anytime, and not have to worry about law enforcement seizing our goods, because we'll be working with them, eventually, all of them. It's a legal adventure. Enough jokes. Now it's off to the races. My starport mechanic. Oh yeah. Standard rules for myself. When I'm doing the first prove your charter missions, I don't leave the quadrant I start in. And when I get ready to, I finally auto fuel. So that's what's going on with that, in case you want to know. Anyway, let's talk to the mechanic and see what missions they got. Can't get an introduction. I really don't need a level 2 mechanic. I've got a level 1, so we're going to have to work with them for a bit. If we want a mechanic, that is. A second one. But for now, what missions do they have for us? 30, 33 AU. Honestly, this one pays more. That goes less distance. Basic distance in this game, astronomical unit. Also a measure in real life out in space is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. Anyway, but I'm going to take the 30 AU mission over the 33. It pays more. Oh, and you're approving your charter missions, of course, you always start at, on their calendar system, year 210, third week, 210.03. So the approving your charter missions provided by your starting contacts are provided from 210.03 through 210.22. And of course, I try to make the most of that time frame. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So we got our mission there. This is a farming community, and the other one here is an orbital station. Let's see if we can't do some trade. Make some dough, even though we don't have any permits. But not a minimal amount, a bigger amount than that. Orbital. Come on. What do I have here? Hydrocrude. Looks like the only thing we got is the vodka. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. Every time you start this game, first thing in the news, they kind of tell you who the opponent is because, like, they're telling us here about the bombing of a scientist / defense orbital, high wind orbital. And this time it's a steel song outpost. That's a complication. wouldn't it be easy if you started with Steel Song and you got their edicts so that you could keep their bounty hunters off of you? They're bounty hunters who won't accept bribes. Probably, but we're not going to let that little complication get in our way. Anyway, oh, and here's the other thing. As soon as you start the game, there's a trade ban. This time it's Ultimessa and Zenman. So they're both banning imports of goods to each other's ports. So we could take goods for a trade assignment and just deliver those goods and get paid for delivering them, but not sell them on the exchange. That's legal, but anything else would be illegal. Lowers our expenses, but also lowers our profits slightly, but there's plenty of missions in the beginning, so plenty of prove your charter missions. So we're not too lower than that, but we're not ticking anybody off. Anyway, so that's what's going on with that. Which means we got to go to the next one, the politician. Hello, you political animal, Colossus, I think his name. You political animal, you. Outposts are neat because there's only the time to fuel, which will say hours, which is the equivalent of a half day, but you don't have to land. So you save time and get fuel. So, of course, we're doing that. And the fuel's cheap here. And we could get a starting diplomat, but I want to get up in the world. I want to get a really skilled diplomat. And during these prove your charter missions, your offending capacity is limited. Now, here's an interesting one. 36 units of crystals, which are supplied by mining and tradeway zones. Pays more than the return shipping job. But how many mining and tradeway zones do we have available? Now let's just do this. Sells crystals. What? Nobody sells crystals in this? Let's see. There can't be nobody. Probably tradeway zones with the trade law of whatever or less. Let's check that out. Nope, there's not a tradeway zone or mining installation in this quadrant. Okay, that makes it simple. Oh, you know what we're also going for? Anybody ever watch Star Trek: The Original Series and that episode, A Piece of the Action? Wasn't it that head of that organized crime outfit on that planet, Bella Oxnix, said, "I'm all for unity, but I gotta be the unity." That's what we're going for. We're getting a little human galactic unity, whatever, but with us having all the edicts to make it unified to us. Bella Oxnix, eat your heart out. And whoever played him. Maybe that actor's up in heaven by now. Anyway, little Star Trek humor there. All right, so I've got my first two missions. Yeah. Okay, it's time for me to call this a video. I will get back with you all when I am all set to start getting edicts, preferably with Ultimessa. Take care. Catch you later. Nah, catch you later on this Legal Beagle. And you'll be Legal Beagle fans and Santini fans here on out. Oh, and if you think this is a zany goal, why do you think Our captain is named Beth Santini. Besides being a distant relative of Dominic Santini of Santini Air from the Airwolf series, TV series back in the 80s, why do you think? Because if anybody says, that is such an outrageous goal to our captain, to any of our crew, maybe not knowing it, maybe not recognizing our captain as our captain, maybe she just goes to the spice bar in real casual clothes. Your captain with a goal like that, edicts up to level 3 with all factions. Your captain is nuts. She is full of BS. Or they are full of BS. Why, yes, those are her initials. She's Beth Santini. We're Santini astronauts. Forget about Santini Air, Santini Space, whatever you want to call it. We're the Legal Beagle. You got it. And who knows what the names are going to change to when we get a second ship or a third, Legal Eagle. We may take off. We may take a note from MC Hammer and one of his albums and do Too Legit to Quit. We shall see. Anyway, catch y'all when I'm ready to start getting edicts. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.